Imagine pulling up to your family's cherished lakeside cabin, keys in hand, only to find cops swarming the place because some self-appointed HOA queen decided your humble retreat was dragging down property values. There I stood, Brock Harlan, retired Army vet with scars from 3 tours in Iraq, watching my uncle's legacy get barricaded like a crime scene while Delilah, Queen of Covenants, Thornbridge, smirked from her manicured lawn, phone glued to her ear like it was her scepter of power. Little did she know, this military vagrant, her words, not mine, was about to turn her petty empire into a punchline of poetic justice. The sun was dipping low over Willowbrook Lake, casting long shadows across the water that Uncle Jasper used to call nature's therapy session. I just unloaded the first box from my beat-up Ford pickup when the siren hooped, not the dramatic wail you hear in movies, but a short, officious blip that said, "Move along, peasant." Officer Ramirez stepped out, adjusting his belt like he was prepping for a standoff, while Delilah Thornbridge clip-clopped over in heels that probably cost more than my monthly VA check. "Officer, thank goodness you're here," she trilled, her voice honeyed with that fake concern suburban tyrants perfect at PDA meetings. "This man is trespassing on non-compliant property. We've issued multiple notices." I set the box down slowly, feeling the gravel crunch under my boots, and met her gaze. Delilah was the picture of HOA perfection. Pearl necklace choking her neck, hair sprayed into submission, and a smile that screamed, "I volunteer for every committee because I love control." But her eyes darted nervously to my truck's license plate, the one with the veteran tag. "Ma'am," I said evenly, "this cabin's been in my family since '65. Uncle Jasper built it with his bare hands after Korea. I'm not trespassing. I'm home." Officer Ramirez scratched his head, glancing at the paperwork she'd thrust at him. "Sir, there's a restraining order here. HOA says the property's in violation of aesthetic standards. Can't occupy until resolved." Neighbors peeked from porches, sipping coffees that had gone cold, their faces a mix of curiosity and pity. One old-timer, Mr. Finch from down the lane, muttered something about that woman's rules strangling the life out of this place. Delilah's lips curled in triumph. "See? Even the authorities agree. We can't have eyesores lowering our community's prestige. Perhaps a trailer park would suit you better, Mr. Harlan." Her words hung in the air like cheap perfume, stinging but ridiculous. I didn't snap back, not yet. Years in the service taught me that silence is reconnaissance. I just nodded, climbed back in my truck, and drove off, but not before snapping a photo of her gloating face. That was the spark. Willowbrook wasn't the idyllic fishing spot anymore. It was a pressure cooker of McMansions and micromanaged lawns, where community meant Delilah's iron fist in a velvet glove. Back at the dingy motel on Route 12, the kind with neon signs flickering vacancy, like a bad omen, I unpacked my duffel and spread out Uncle Jasper's will on the stained Formica table. The cabin wasn't just wood and nails. It was summers learning to bait hooks, evenings hearing tales of foxholes and camaraderie that made sense of the chaos I'd seen overseas. Jasper had no kids, so it fell to me, the nephew who'd followed in his bootsteps. But Delilah, she'd rolled in 5 years ago, fresh from some upscale suburb in Chicago, married to Rex Thornbridge, the local contractor whose wallet was as fat as his ethics were thin. She'd clawed her way to HOA president by promising elevated standards, code for fining folks for unmowed grass or unapproved mailbox colors. Under her reign, the lake community felt like a gated prison. Mandatory beige siding, no visible boats in driveways, And God forbid you plant wildflowers instead of manicured hedges. The next morning, nursing black coffee that tasted like regret, I got the certified letter. Gold embossed. Of course, because nothing says community spirit like wasting dues on fancy stationery. Dear Mr. Harlan, it oozed. Your inherited property fails to meet Willowbrook Lake HOA covenants. Required upgrades. New roof. Shingles must match Pantone 4625C. Vinyl siding replacement. Professional landscaping. No native plants. Dock reinforcement to code 7.2. Estimated cost, $18,000. Non-compliance will result in liens and occupancy denial. I chuckled darkly. Jasper's roof had weathered hurricanes. Now it was substandard because it didn't shine like Delilah's ego. I dialed the HOA line. Willowbrook Lake Association. Delilah speaking. How may I elevate your day, Mrs. Thornbridge? This is Brock Harlan. About that letter, my uncle's place passed every inspection for decades. This seems excessive. Her laugh tinkled like breaking glass. Oh, Mr. Harlan, bless your heart. We're simply protecting investments here. That rustic charm is code for depreciation. Imagine if everyone let their properties go like a war zone, property values would plummet. I suggest you comply. It's for the greater good. Greater good. My ass. It was her good rumors swirled she and Rex eyed lakefront lots for flipping into vacation rentals. I hung up, feeling the slow burn of injustice. But I didn't rage. Instead, I hit the county records office, a musty basement where dreams of justice went to gather dust. Hours later, buried in yellowed files that smelled like forgotten history, I hit pay dirt. Jasper's deed from 65? Crystal clear. No HOA strings because the damn thing didn't form until '02, when developers like Rex's pals muscled in. Grandfather clause meant my cabin was exempt from their nonsense rules. But deeper digging revealed the rot. Rex's firm had snagged a $90,000 no-bid contract for community enhancements, fancy for paving over paradise while lining pockets. Delilah's signature was everywhere, her elevated standards a smokescreen for cronyism. As I photocopied, the clerk, a grizzled vet named Earl, leaned in. Fighting that Thornbridge witch? Good luck, son. She's got half the town scared silent. Not me. I was mapping my counterattack. Delilah upped the ante 3 days later. A process server banged on my motel door at dawn, shoving papers that reeked of lawyerly arrogance. Emergency injunction. Cease all activity on non-compliant property. Hired guns from some downtown firm. Billing by the breath. This is harassment, I told the server, but he just shrugged. Take it up with the HOA. Oh, I would. Meanwhile, anonymous texts buzzed my phone. Back off, soldier boy. Some fights you can't win. I saved them, smirking at the cowardice. Delilah thought intimidation was her ace. It was her tell. Enter my first ally, Mabel Kettleworth, 76, retired paralegal with a walker and a wit sharper than shrapnel. She cornered me in the courthouse lot, her civic coughing exhaust. You're Jasper's kin. Heard Delilah's spreading lies. Calls you a PTSD time bomb at Bridge Club. Mabel's eyes twinkled with mischief. Honey, I've buried more HOAs than she's fined lawns. Your deed's gold. But she'll play dirty. We bonded over stale donuts. Her tales of past battles painting Delilah as a caricature. The queen bee who fined a widow for unsightly morning flowers. She's all about control, Mabel said. fears losing her throne more than anything. That night, in the motel's flickering light, I pored over evidence, deeds, contracts, texts. Delilah's greater good was a Ponzi of power, squeezing old-timers out for profit. My phone buzzed again. Sell now or regret it. I replied with a thumbs-up emoji. Let her stew. Patience, Jasper always said, wins wars. 2 weeks in exile, and Delilah called an emergency summit at the community hall. Flyers on glossy paper screaming, "Preserve our paradise." The room hummed with fluorescent buzz, folding chairs squeaking under uneasy butts. Delilah commanded the podium like a dictator at a rally, PowerPoint glowing with charts of declining values, all arrows pointing down at my cabin's photo, edited to look derelict. "Friends," she cooed, "we face a threat to our harmony. Substandard properties invite decline. I'm proposing a $20,000 assessment per home for security upgrades to keep out undesirables." Coughs rippled, eyes darted. Harold Finch, the mousy treasurer, fidgeted like he had ants in his khakis. I stood, uniform pressed ribbons gleaming under the lights. "Before voting, let's see the books. As owners, we deserve transparency." Delilah's smile cracked. "Mr. Harlan, you're not resident yet." Mabel's walker clanged as she rose. "Bull. State law says any deed holder can inspect. Or is that too elevated for you?" Delilah stammered, revealing Rex's firm got the upgrades gig no bids. Naturally. Whispers grew. Harold sweated bullets. Post-meeting, in the lot shrouded by dusk, 3 neighbors sidled up like spies. "She's been pushing sales," whispered Dorothy, a teacher with steel in her spine. "Says investors want our lots." Frank, a mechanic with grease-stained hands, added, "Her crews fix things that ain't broke. Charge triple." Janet, my border neighbor, nodded. "It's a land grab." Back at the motel, evidence piled like ammo, discrepancies, threats, whispers of bribes. Another text, "Uniform won't save you." I laughed. Her desperation was comedy gold, the kind that makes you clench fists while grinning. Harassment escalated Monday. A county inspector at the cabin, clipboard in hand, Rex's cigar stink lingering. "Violations galore," Gary droned, listing absurdities, dock too rustic, wiring archaic, Jasper's handiwork, battle-tested, now hazardous. Gary slipped in, "Mrs. Thornbridge might buy it cheap, $60,000. For a $200,000 gem? Insulting." I snapped pics, then hit the VA office. Linda, the caseworker, lit up. "Vet exemptions, loans, preservation grants, your cabin's historic. Goldmine, Jasper's build qualified for protections Delilah ignored. But she went nuclear, fake social posts in my name, ranting about civilian weaklings. Neighbors got threats, tires slashed. Mabel called, voice tense. "They're terrorizing us." I met allies on her porch, pine scent mixing with fury. "Time to call Chief Henderson," I said. His office, coffee strong, walls of honor. "Corruption." He leaned in as I laid out files. "RICO level." But Delilah fired back. "Emergency vote to expel the threat." Fake accounts amplified lies me as unhinged vet. The hall Friday night crackled with dread. Delilah's slideshow, my cabin as bunker, forged quotes as proof. "For safety," she pleaded, voice cracking comically. Dorothy stood, Hear these tapes, bribes, threats. Delilah paled. Private. Mabel barked. Crime ain't private. Rex lunged. Lies. Then Henderson burst in. Bad shining. Felonies. Folks. Agent Chin. FBI's on it. I rose. This charter from 65 trumps your scams. Harold played tapes. Delilah's voice. Oily bribes. Room gasped. Rex bolted, cuffed mid-stride. Delilah wailed. Harassment. Handcuffs clicked. Applause thundered. Henderson saluted. Thanks, Sergeant. Justice. Sweet and savage. Dawn broke peaceful. I brewed coffee in the cabin. Volunteers swarming to fix what tyrants broke. Rex got 3 years. Delilah 5, empires crumbled. We built scholarships, tournaments, transparency, ripples, new laws protecting vets. Barbecue smoke wafted, community healed. Uncle Jasper's heart gleamed on the mantle. Was Delilah the real victim of overzealous neighbors, or did she deserve every handcuff click?